You're riding along in your self-driving car. You're kicked back, enjoying the scenery as it floats by, enjoying a cocktail, when you notice that the car is taking you somewhere where you don't want to go. You put your cocktail down, you get to the controls to take over, and the car is not relinquishing control, nor is it stopping. How do you feel in that moment? Hello, I'm Rowena Starling, welcoming you to the Save Your Breath show, where we help parents eliminate the stress and aggravation of parenting, whether your child is 5 or 50. Today's show is about the programs we have running in our minds. Just kind of the positive ones, we love those. We're not going to talk about those that much today. We're looking at those negative programs that take us places that we don't want to go. So have a look at the programs that you're running. Are you aware of the kinds of negative programs that you're running? Have you stopped to have a look at them? Do you know what kind of negative programs you're working on your kids, your offspring? It's important to have a look at that because, like I said, we tend to be carried away by these programs without paying attention to the fact that we can get to the controls and do something if only we would and knew how, right? Are you aware of the fact that we have not only the programs that you may be aware of, but there are programs that were put in there when we were in the womb and in past lives? A lot of people tend to think that there may not be past lives, but there are. In fact, we all have had them. Dr. Brian Weiss, MD, an American psychiatrist, hypnotherapist, and author, says that throughout history, humankind has been resistant to change and to the acceptance of new ideas. When Galileo discovered the moons of Jupiter, the astronomers of that time refused to accept or even look at these satellites because the existence of these moons conflicted with their accepted beliefs. So it is now with the psychiatrists and other therapists who refuse to examine and evaluate the considerable evidence being gathered about survival after bodily death and about past life memories. Their eyes are tightly shut. Are your eyes tightly shut? Is your mind tightly shut? I'd like us to open these minds of ours for just a little while here, while we have this conversation here at the beginning. He goes on to say, past life therapy offers a rapid method of treating psychiatric symptoms that had previously taken many months or years of costly therapy to alleviate. Many were able to rid themselves of chronic, lifelong symptoms such as specific phobias, panic attacks, recurrent nightmares, unexplained fears, obesity, repeated destructive relationships, physical pain and illness, and so on. This is not a placebo effect. These are not people who are gullible or suggestible. They remember names, dates, geography, and details. And after they remember, they become cured. Perhaps even more important than the curing of specific physical and emotional symptoms is the knowledge that we do not die when our bodies do. We are immortal. Ha. How do you like them apples, huh? That's Dr. Brian Weiss, MD, agreeing with me. So when I talk about our divine connection and channeling our divine selves and recognizing that aspect of divineness within us, this is what I'm talking about. Many of the doctors have been reporting their experiences with patients and their past life regressions. So this is just to kind of open your mind a little bit in case you have some closeness around that subject. There is significant scientific and spiritual evidence to the fact that this is so. So why bring this up, with parenting, our minds and our programs? Well, many parents are unaware of, or they think that they must accept the weight that these negative programs place on our lives and our feelings. But we're really far more powerful than that. If they would just realize where they are stuck, recognize where they're stuck in their negative program, this thing that is repeating over and over again, then they would cancel that program and move through to the family life that they really want. We have knee-jerk reactions to the unpleasant situations that come up frequently in parenting. And then this knee-jerk negative reaction causes us to transfer this program, these feelings, to our offspring. So even if you think that our programming begins when we're born, those first 3 years of that little human's life dictate to a large degree what kind of life they will experience as an adult. Now, do you know that adults are still affected by the relationship that they have with their parents? I mean, affected by their relationships. The way kids are, you would not think so, huh? I know it seems elementary to be bringing this up, but I want us to start to engage some curiosity around what we already know and recognize the positive and the negative programs that we're running. So when we're talking about adults, listen, here is a quote from J Marriage Family. They're reported in HHS, Department of Health and Human Services. And here's the summary of the report that they gave. Growth curve analysis of national longitudinal data indicated that relationships with fathers and mothers differentially affected the marital quality of adult children over time. Findings suggest that the effects of the parent-adult-child relationship on adult children's marriages depend on age, marital duration, and get this, levels of family stress experienced in childhood. So not only are we talking about the family stress that perhaps your adult offspring experienced in their childhood, but guess who you are? You are the adult offspring of someone, and you are at the effect of whatever was going on in the family stress situation that you were brought up in, and so on and so on. This is why we're talking about this. So now, why does it matter? Must I go into the story of the recurring drama of man's inhumanity to man? My father and mothers, my parents, their inhumanity to each other. Then their inhumanity to me. My inhumanity to my son. You know the drill. You know the programs that I'm talking about. I remember clearly in my life as I was coming up, the many consistent messages that I got around reprimands and harsh discipline and the denial of affection. The denial of affection is as devastating as a whooping, as they used to call it when I was a little girl. And as I went through my life with this denial of affection, which, as a child, you're not understanding that that's what's going on, hatred began to grow in me because of the harsh discipline and the reprimands and everything that came with that. As I became a teenager, my mother would say often, this is an example of one of those programs that's running. She would say often, if you continue to do that, I was always doing something. If you continue in that way, no man is going to want you. So, what became the be-all and end-all of my young adult woman life? That's right, finding the man. The man that would want me and above all else. Yeah, I'm an Aries, of course. He'd have to want me above all else. I mean, that's what Aries do, I cannot tell you how many precious nights and days I spent crying and pining over men who rejected me. And they had to reject me. My father had abandoned me. And this abandonment issue was the program running in the background consistently, sabotaging my happiness. It was the car that was taking me where I didn't want to go. And my mother? The same program was running on my mother. And as far as I know, on her mother as well. And I looked and I observed this when I was in my early 20s. And I started to do a remedy around it, consciously go in to alter this. We know intrinsically that we have this power to do this, and you have it too. So I started back then working that, right? This program ran me for years and ran me into the ground until finally advanced age and hormones decided for me that I no longer really cared. How much happiness did I squander? How many decades of happiness did I squander in this program, adhering to this program? Only to realize finally that the love that I have within myself is far more intoxicating and powerful than any love that I would find without. This love transformed my hatred to bliss and understanding. Would you like to have that? Do you have that? My mother never spoke to me about bliss and happiness within. Oh, we went to church every Sunday. Oh my God, how I hated that. But the benefit there was that I got the feel, the understanding of what love was all about. There were the moral issues, the moral training that was implanted, all that good stuff. Church had its place. She was doing the best that she could. You see, but she couldn't speak of it because she never had it, as far as I know. And of course, I would know. I was with her every day. And we tend to ooze who we are, do we not? So I would know. She would have been affectionate. She would have loved me that way so that I would know it from the inside myself, from the inside out, much earlier, and have gotten to where I am now, a lot faster. You see? So, how did I break this program so that it doesn't go on to my offspring? Well, the first thing I did was have a son. Okay, yeah, I know sons are abandoned too. Don't go there. But I made a point of making sure that his father stayed in his life. Unlike my mother, who made a point of making sure that my father did not stay in my life. And my grandmother had the same thing going on with herself. How do we monitor and correct these negative, wacky programs? Now, I'm sure that you are aware of many of your programs, your negative feelings, your anxieties, your fears. And in terms of monitoring them and correcting them, it's a good idea to be able to identify some of them so that we can go in and literally extract them and eliminate them. Just the core nugget of them and get them out there. Now, there are some programs that you just sort of feel bad and you don't know why. You're just not happy, and you're able to go in and handle those very specifically with a process. But I wanted to give you a few testimonials of clients that I've worked with where we went in, and before they did this process that I'm about to tell you about, they were able to extract these core elements so that as they did their processes of meditation and what it takes to go in there and handle negative programs, it was easier and they could get their results faster. Sarah M. says, "Our call yesterday was a big step forward for me. The old Sarah had an irrational fear of speaking about vulnerability and being seen. I felt the fear melt out of my body after just 30 minutes of intense fear release work with Rowena, which worked wonders. I feel that things have improved. I've been doing more out of my shell, like participating in a song ceremony previously that I would shy away from. It's been interesting. I feel the fear has been released and I am adjusting to a new way of being." Justine R. says, "I can say that I really don't feel any more fear of running out of money since our session. In fact, I am more relaxed and at ease about it than I've been in a long time. And it's not because I've come into sudden wealth." You see, the idea here is to understand that you may have something that's bothering you, that's a negative program that's running you, that has nothing to do with parenting per se. But how you're feeling is being reflected in your offspring. So the idea is to feel good at all times, and that is the real work and exercise of our lives. I think it's a good little project to engage in. The idea is to jumpstart it with plucking out what you can, and then on the rest of it, there's this process. Now, here's a good start, especially when you can't identify, and it's kind of a general, I don't feel good. First of all, kind of scan yourself for your programs and your feelings, things that make you feel bad. Or you can wait until one just shows up the way it does. And then when it does show up, or when you are able to recognize it, just observe it and allow it to subside. And after it subsides, when you get a chance, go into a meditative state and recall it. And in the recalling of it, identify it. You can name it anything you want as the thing that you want to melt, dissolve, and go away. You do this in that meditative state. And you do this consistently every day. And you just sort of massage it right out of your system. And the idea is once you get into your meditative state, you want to introduce this project, this thing that you're doing, within that 5 minutes. And if you can, have it last as long as possible. 15, 20 minutes is optimal. The idea is to recognize within ourselves a certain lofty curiosity. Come on, I know you can remember when you were a little kid and you'd bounce up out of the bed and you'd run around the house looking for stuff to do. It was so exciting to be alive. Oh my God, what can I get into? What is this? Right? If you can't remember, oh man, but that's where we were. I remember it clearly. So what I'm saying is, not only do that on the outside world, get curious now about what's going on in here. Yeah, inside of yourself. Yeah, there's a whole world to discover in there. And you can start to manipulate things to go the way you want them to go. Be curious and catch these negative feelings. Root them out where you can immediately, and then pay attention to where you think they may have come from, especially when you're being curious. You can name it anything you want. It might be something that was started, like I said, way back in the womb or before, a prior lifetime. It doesn't matter. Whatever your mind says it is, go with that. The story is not important. The result, the end of the story is what we're after, especially a negative program. I want you to go after these things like they're rodents, to be exterminated before they get to your children and your children's children. If your offspring are adults, then, make the amends within yourself. Do the extermination of these negative programs within yourself. Use silent prayers to exterminate them in your offspring, because we are still all connected. Of course, it's more effective if they can do it themselves. Do you talk to your adult children, your adult offspring? Then urge them to engage these negative programs and exterminate them, eliminate them for themselves as well. There's help also in reprogramming your subconscious mind. It is quite the shortcut. Right? I mean, you can deprogram decades of nasty problems and get positive results in weeks and months. Here are a few steps to help you with the reprogramming of your subconscious mind. Remember, the first set of processes was just to help you sort of dissolve negative programs that you may not be able to recognize. Or just if you can recognize them, if you're not having someone like me help you to go in there and nip some stuff in advance, then to make it faster. That's what the first program was, to help you. The first processes were to help you to melt through and dissolve the negative programming. So now, how about reprogramming, your subconscious mind? The first thing you would do is to identify the negative program that you want to get rid of, or the result that you're looking to have for your life, right? You would identify what that is. Then you would restate it as a positive and ask for what it is that you want instead of that. So once you have identified what you really want, then you go in and clear your mind, get into a meditative state, hang out in this meditative silent state. Your mind is clear and silent. You then deposit the thing that you want in that quiet space, that thought, and you hang out there with it until you can feel it. Begin to feel what it will feel like to have that result exactly the way you want it. Feel it. Because at this point in time, as you're doing this, you're literally creating it and you're making it happen. So feel it. Get the feeling of it. Revel in it. Get the joy of it. Plant the thought in there. Have the expression of it fully realized in your feelings and in your mind. And then you can come out of your meditative state. It's that simple. Do this daily. And the key here is to maintain that feeling all the time. So you would do the meditation, and then periodically through the day, you would just kind of stop and check yourself to see that you're still feeling that wonderful feeling of having realized the ultimate goal of what it is that you were looking for. Yes? So you will repeat this process on the next negative program you want to get rid of, eliminate. And you just keep doing it until, well, it's just what we do. This is doing it from the inside out rather than looking outside to have stuff happening and coming in. Contact me if you want help with any of this, especially the part where we go in and we jumpstart the process by rooting out and eliminating certain fears and anxieties and phobias and whatnot before you start the exercises, because it will help your outcomes to appear faster. It will also enhance your ability to use the natural process you have for emotional regulation. If you're having to say the same things over and over and over again, whether you're saying it to your offspring or you're saying it in here. Do you have anxiety over being the disciplinarian versus your child's friend? Do you have anxiety over the disciplinary tactics you used or the lack thereof when you were raising your adult? Does paying the bills give you the blues? Well, I have a family system that addresses all of these issues. If you would like the opportunity to raise the level of your parenting game, and gain insight to the issues that are there that you may not be fully aware of, then allow me to help you. There are 5 steps to my family system, and there are a couple of steps, obviously, within each step. The first step is called the calling. Parenting is a calling. And we would engage in meditative processes to have us get in touch with that aspect of who we are, because we are heroes. I mean, and heroes tend to have, the ones I like anyway, a certain joie de vivre, a certain joy that they're bringing to what they're doing as they're being mighty and solving it, right? We've got that. Let's work with that. This meditation, the power of it runs through the whole family system. Step 2 is raising the dough, baking the bread. Having an understanding of the inner game of money so that you can allow more of it to flow through to you and your family. Step 3 is respect. Getting it and giving it. Step 4, discipline. It's not just about the appropriate discipline that you have in engaging with your offspring. There's also a discipline involved in following through with what you say you're going to do. That's a big one, especially if you're trying to be your child's friend. It kind of falls loose there. And then number 5 is the family system, the custom family system itself that is created just for your family, and the family system map. May I hold your hand through this process? If you would like for me to help you, please contact me through the parenting assessment located at saveyourBreath101.com/parenting-assessment. Do the assessment there, submit it, and you will receive a complimentary parenting breakthrough session. It's a $250 value for free. You'll be glad you did. Well, I thank you for listening and watching, and I'll see you again here next time on the Save Your Breath Show.